Hey, this is Kris Young. Kris and I have known each other for a very long time. So she was in grade 7. I've known Kris. She's from Handsworth Secondary School, 2-time provincial champion at the senior level. I remembered yesterday she also won a grade 8 provincial championship as well, just for fun. In grade 8, Kris, do you remember your record at all? I know Steve knows it.
No, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's probably like something like 35-0. So they didn't lose in grade 8. They smoked everybody. Then she went and played senior in grade 9. Back then, it wasn't as popular a thing to do for grade 9 kids. Her and Diana Lee, teammates, they both played senior, and then they were very good for 4 years at Handsworth and winning 2 provincial championships. After that, she ended up going to UBC, had a nice 5-year career there. But we'll start from the beginning, Kris. So when you were in grade 7, you were pretty much a very good soccer player, a very good basketball player. Anything else?
I don't know if I would say I was super good at them all, but I was like in diving, I did field hockey, softball. I did it all. Soccer was like my main sport, though. I wanted to be the next Carol Lang.
Right. So same with me. So the thing with Kris was you were also, the thing I like about you is you were an HPL soccer player, correct?
Yeah, it wasn't called that, but yeah.
Yeah, so Kris was one of the better soccer players in the province, and then she chose basketball, so that's one of the reasons why I like her. So anyway, what at that time, what kind of got you going with basketball? What switched you from a soccer player to a basketball player?
I feel like I didn't really like recognize it at the time, but one thing was like who was around me. Like I had my best friends in basketball, but I also felt like some of the other sports, and I don't want to offend anybody if you're like a volleyball player or something, but
this is a basketball club, so we're good defending
but like basketball just seemed like, I don't know, there was a lot to master it, and I just felt like I kind of hit a level in certain sports, and then basketball there was like always something new and like the mind game behind it as well. And I also liked the ability to be able to, like, if your team's down or you need a little push, had the ability to do it yourself, which is a little selfish, but I didn't like in soccer how I couldn't get the ball if I really needed it.
Right. So, fair enough. Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thing to look at. So you like the pressure of having the ball in your hands and having to come up with a big play.
Yeah, just like I liked how one player could kind of like change the game, but you relied on everybody to like get it done, obviously. But yeah, there was just like more to basketball. Like every time I like peeled back a layer of it, I just felt like there was more and more to learn. And yeah, I just stuck my teeth into it and fell in love.
Right. So when did that happen? You think that probably happened like grade 8, grade 9?
I think once I realized that sports weren't just like something that I happened to be good at and like I got to do with my friends, it was something that I kind of realized like what I could get through it, like not just going to university and traveling the world and all that, but just like working hard and like seeing myself accomplish something. And also again, like I really liked the team aspect of it. Like all my best friends, like Steph, like they're all from basketball, so it's just kind of like a cool vessel to accomplish a lot of different things. Like I always wanted to travel. I knew I wanted to go to university, and I just kind of saw, once I took it seriously and saw that sports could kind of help me achieve those things while doing something I loved, that's when I kind of understood like what it really meant to me.
Fantastic. So if you were to look back at your high school career, which I'm sure you don't do very often, but if you did, what were some of the major highlights from your high school time?
From basketball, high school time?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to stick with basketball.
Winning the provincial championships, obviously, was pretty awesome. But I think that I was kind of a lucky player at the time. Not everybody got. I know it's a little bit more common now, but playing in grade 9 was a little bit more rare. So getting to play with a lot of really good players that were older than me, that was something I think really benefited me. Yeah, it was hard to leave my friends in grade 8, but I think that playing with the better older players just really elevated my game. So that's one of the best things I think I got out of it. And when I look back also, just I don't remember scores. Like you're asking me scores, like Steve, he knows all the scores. I don't remember any of them, but I remember my coaches and my teammates. And like I had some of the best coaches that just cared so much. And yeah, my teammates.
Yeah, you really did. You had good coaches all the way through. I mean, realistically, not too many people have from grades, young age, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, all the way through. I mean, you had very good people around. And then when you finished your high school career, you were, I believe, the last person in your grad class to commit to a university. Looking back on those times, what were some of the leading factors? I mean, so when Kris was leaving high school, guys, she could have gone to any school in the country, right? And she pretty much, at the time, the 2 best schools in the country were UBC and SFU. And they both just won recently national championships, and she had pretty much narrowed herself down to, a top, let's put both of them in the top 5. And so what kind of got you to go to UBC, and what made that the right choice for you?
I really struggled with my choice because as you like you mentioned, I didn't commit till I think April. It was like really late, and I don't think I really realized how late it was, but I think that what held me back from, first of all, making a decision was that I got caught up in that everyone wanted to go to the States. And it was just like everyone on the provincial team, everyone when I played anything national team, they were like, the States, full ride, Div 1. And so it was just in my head, like we go down to all the tournaments for provincial team and you see all these scouts and you think, or I thought like, I'm not going to be anything if I don't kind of follow that. But I knew I didn't want to go. So once that kind of really held me back from, I don't know, I think deciding in Canada. And then once I kind of got over that and was like, no, I want to play in front of my family, I narrowed it down to the province. And then it was just between coaches and kind of like the community that was at the school. I knew a lot of people at UBC. And I just kind of, when I closed my eyes, to be honest, I just pictured myself there from the very beginning. And yeah, I should have just followed like my instinct, but that was mostly just the school that I always thought of when I kind of shut my eyes and pictured myself somewhere.
Yeah, you also had some hands with kids that were at that school already, right? So you had friends on the team. You knew you'd have a role there that would fit. It just kind of worked.
Did I have hands? I had a lot of North Shore. There was a lot of North Shore.
Kirsten was there, was she not?
Kristen came either my first year, but she transferred, so I didn't know if I knew she was going. But either way, tons of friends,
anyway,
like a lot of
people from North Van for sure were on that team, and it ended up working out well for you. So give us like when you went to university, what was the big thing that you thought you didn't see coming that was kind of like, wow, that was hard. Wow, that was something I didn't expect. Do you have something like that for me?
I didn't. That was really hard. I mean, like on the court, the pace of the game is just like, and the physicality, I was like, whoa, I was not ready for that. I mean, you adjust to it pretty quickly because you're in practice every day, but that was one thing I was like, these are women. And I did not feel like a full grown woman going into university. Yeah, I think balancing, like I don't think I came prepared for school. Like I did fine in school, but just the balancing act of everything, like it adds up really quickly with your individuals, your strength training, your film, your leadership meetings, your one-on-ones with your coach. It just adds up and your schedule becomes so huge. And by the end of it, I felt like now I need that schedule because I am way more productive. But at the beginning I was like, how am I going to accomplish all this and get it all done? So that's probably the hardest part, was how much is on your plate.
Yeah. So, I mean, I look back at you playing just because, I knew, and kind of saw you progress through the years. I had coached at Argyle for a few years, guys, when she was there. So we had some pretty serious rivalries. And then I didn't finish off the streak, but that was a different story for another time. But, so I got to see this really talented kid growing up. And by the time she got to university, she, as a freshman, she probably got more minutes than just about any freshman would get at that level. But it was still like, I don't really get she didn't really understand, like, I don't get the ball, what's going on. I'm not scoring like I used to, like all that sort of thing. And I think that's something that people got to, kind of think about before they go to university. Like, it's not just going to be another grade 12 year. You're not just getting the ball. You're not just going to shoot it 30 times a game. You got to kind of grow yourself into that. And what happened with you, I thought, was you started maturing as the years went on, and you started actually locking in and focusing. And I thought towards the end of your career, you really got focused, and then the results kind of took care of themselves, to be honest with you. There's a video clip. I think I have it somewhere. I'm going to try to find it. I'll share it with the group. You guys were down against Sask, I believe, in the Canada West final. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah. So down against Sask, Canada West final, 1 point, I believe. Down couple seconds, she went coast to coast, the full length of the court, and scored the bucket to win the game. I'll find the video somewhere. I got it. I think it's somewhere on my phone. I don't know. Anyway, so clutch. And that was the thing about Kris always, is that she always played her best in the biggest games, I thought, anyway. And so now looking back on your university career, what do you think the most valuable lessons you learned from actually, competing as an athlete, and then what does that translate into the rest of your life? Because I think that's important for kids to think about. Like, it's not just a sport. When it's done, because at some point it is done. And when it's done, what did that do for me? What did I get out of it? And so kind of share a little bit about that for the rest of your life kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would probably say is the biggest takeaway if you're playing post-secondary basketball and devoting your, like, this part of your life to basketball, is that it does end. And it was a hard transition for me, but I don't know. I think once I finished university, I was kind of in this stage where I was like, what am I going to do with my life? And like, you kind of question sometimes, like, what was all that time worth? Like, what was every summer in a gym in Mississauga or somewhere else just with a bunch of girls, like, playing basketball? What was that worth? And it did kind of like come across my mind, was that worth it? But then you don't even notice the things that you learn from it. Like I said, like your time management, your perseverance, like all these lessons that you don't even realize that you're instilling in yourself. Like, you guys are working out right now at 7:45 on Zoom. Like, and believe me, I'm doing it now because I've learned how to continue working out and be fit, and all those little lessons, like, you're not noticing that you're building them in yourself right now, but they're just going to persist all the way through. And when in work, school, everything, invaluable lessons. But I do think that some people kind of get caught up in a lot of the details of basketball, and like, not that you shouldn't pay attention to those, but at the end of the day, you're not really going to remember some of the scores. And it sounds bad to say, but I know we all want to win and stuff, but it's the relationships. Like, that's the biggest thing that I can say. Like, have fun with that. I always prided myself on like trying to have a balance with basketball. I still made time for other things, but I devoted myself when I was there. I put 110% in, but I don't think other parts of your life have to suffer. So yeah, try to find that balance.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that was something you were pretty good at. I mean, you put in the time, and then when the time was done, it was time to do something else, right? And I think that was something for you. And now you
don't feel guilty about it. Like, I felt like a lot of players kind of like, or a lot of people felt guilty when they relaxed or when they took 2 weeks off. And I'm not, again, I don't want to make your coaches mad, but like, you got to find what works for you and not let yourself get out of shape and do all that. But you got to find a balance, or else you're just going to burn out or not get what you can out of yourself in the game.
Well, I mean, I think that speaks to make the time that you're actually spending on it valuable. And you don't need to, it's not just volume, like, let me just get as many hours as I can in. It's what are you getting out of those hours? And I think that was something you were very good at, especially, honestly, like, I can't kind of overspeak this. Towards the end of your university career, Kris really locked in, and she had goals and she set them. I think throughout high school, it was just kind of like you were around some pretty good players and winning just happened, right? And then, you probably did more losing in the first 2 years of university than you did in your entire, life, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. And then, so you were like, wait a second, I don't want to lose anymore. I would imagine these are some of the things that went through your head. And so you're like,
confidence was the biggest thing too. Like, I don't know, I came out of high school and, like you said, I was with a lot of good players. So I didn't have to score every time. So I didn't necessarily think that I was the best scorer of all time. I thought I had different skills. So when I came into UBC, I was like, oh, I'm a defensive player. So I just tried to lock down. And then my coach looked at me and was like, are you ever going to try to score? So I think just like having confidence, know like what your abilities are, and then just be confident in them. Because I did wait a little long to get scoring.
Yeah, you figured it out though. And so now let me ask you this. So you finished university, you graduated from UBC. What are you doing now? What's the plan now with your life?
Plan now. Took me a while to figure it out.
Next time.
I was currently, I guess now quarantine has messed it up a little bit, but I was living in Kelowna, going to teaching school at UBCO, and I started in September. So I had my 5-week practicum, and I'm supposed to have a community placement at Argyle, which I was super excited about, but it got canceled because obviously quarantine and schools are shut. So everything's online now, and then I'm done in December. So hopefully I'll get hired somewhere.
So teacher, so Mrs. Young, we're going to be Ms. Young.
Yeah, all my kids that I have are like, Miss Young, what happens when you get old? And I'm like, I'm going to have to figure that out. I'm going to have to get married or something.
Yeah, well, one of the things, we talked about this with Teresa Gabriel yesterday is, we talked about support system with her husband. I always saw him as like her biggest fan. I think you have a similar situation with your long-term boyfriend. He also was a coach he played football and then he coached football. So he kind of understands the grind of what it takes to be an athlete. Let's give the guy a little bit of pub. Tell me a little bit about what makes you know, we're not gonna spend too much time on it, but like, what was important when you found your boyfriend? Like, what was the guy? What did he do that actually helped you achieve some of your goals and stuff?
Well, wow, I'm gonna tell him that he's
I
famous right
like
now on
that.
this
He's a
Zoom
good
call.
dude. Yeah.
Um, I think like just like friends. I mean, you guys will get to an age. I remember when I was like in high school and early university, where you just kind of think everyone like you want to be friends with everyone, and then you realize like this person's not supporting me this way, this person, and you just kind of get rid of them. Whoever's not there to support you. I think with Tom, he had the same background, sports. He knows how to work hard. He knew what it meant to be an athlete and to like have the goals that I had with sports. So he would come to my games. And he understood what it meant to me and like what putting in that time and effort to train was like. So when he saw it like come to fruition on the court, he understood like the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. But I mean, we were dating and I wanted to go overseas and play pro. If he didn't want me to do that, then he's probably not supportive of, you know what I mean? So just kind of seeing like when people are going to step up for you and understand and support your goals. And if they're not willing to do that, then bye.
Find somebody else. Yeah, no kidding. Well, anyway, I really appreciate you coming out. But let me ask you one last question. If you were to go back to high school, which these kids are, we have kids on this call from grade 8 all the way to grade 11, going into grade 12. If you could give them one tip for their high school experience, like one thing that you think you could go back, you know, and you know, leave them with something, what would that be?
Ooh, that's tough. I think like outside of basketball, I'd say that anything that you think is a big deal is going to pass and it's not a big deal. Even like from a teacher's perspective as well, like seeing it and like kind of having both lenses now, the things that I worried about in high school and that I see some of my students worrying about, it's just, you're going to forget about it so quick and it really doesn't matter. So don't waste your time or energy worrying about it. Basketball wise, it sounds like cliche, but just like soak it in. Like you're really not going to get it back as long as you put in like as much effort as you can and try your hardest. That's all you can really do, but you're not going to get this time back. So just soak it in and enjoy it. Cause I wish I could be you guys right now. It'd be so fun.
Yeah, no, and you know, I think you were a very good testament, just putting in the work, and the results will take care of themselves. And I want to say thanks for coming out with us. You know, you don't really know many of these kids, so it's a good opportunity for them to kind of see what success looks like. And so for me, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I want to get out in the gym when this is all over with you guys.
Yeah, no kidding. That makes all of us.
I
All
also
right,
want
guys.
to say, Teresa Gabriel was your last call. I feel pretty good.
Oh no, guess who's on Thursday?
I don't know.
We got Nio on Thursday.
Nice.
And then we got Kim Smith on Sunday.
Yeah, I don't know if if I should be in the same league as these people, but
yeah, no, we're going. We've got a good group. Anyway, everybody, let's give Kris a round of applause and say thank you for coming out.